panel, and I've always lived around hate. I was born in 1983, the exact same day where the civil war of Lebanon in the mountains started. I was born on September 11th, date that will carry a hate label for a very long time. When I was 13, I witnessed Tana's massacres. When I was 21, my stepfather, who is a journalist, historian, and university professor, was assassinated by a car bomb under our house. So like a lot of us, I've always lived around hate. But me and hate never cohabitated, which made me look at it from a distance, and this is what I found out. Hate was the politicians' biggest weapon. They nurtured it so they can keep control of their followers. They created enemies between people so they can keep allies. They divided people and built walls between them. In the 30s, the Nazi Party and Hitler launched the Cars project. It was a robust and inexpensive car. What they officially wanted to do is to raise the standards of living possible. But for many scholars, what the Nazi Party was actually doing is secluding people in the individual space of their cars, instead of going on buses and meeting people from different backgrounds and discussing politics and problems and solutions. Same goes for public transportation in Lebanon. It was us in our individual cars. After the Civil War, every project, feasibility study, and research done by experts about public transportation has been thrown in the drawers of oblivion by our government. The same philosophy is adopted by Israel when it comes to public spaces in occupied Palestine. Recently, Israel has been deleting Arabic names from public spaces and cities so that the Palestinians will feel secluded and their sense of belonging is endangered. Let's come back to Beirut. This is a public space. Public spaces, the absence of public spaces in Lebanon is often looked at as an urban problem, which it is, but it's also a political and social problem. When a mother meets another mother from a different background, community, sect, in a public playground, and they discuss their own stories, they find common points and build affinities. When this same mother hears about the other from a politician or on TV, she starts building hate images of this mother. And this is where the walls of hate start to be constructed. These same walls that the politicians use so they can keep control of the population. The more hate exists, the more fear exists, and the more control they can gain. Hate also creates sadness, and nobody is motivated to act when they're sad. It also creates anger that we witness every day, whether we're at home or driving or when we're discussing with people. The worst part is that nobody chooses to be sad. And the fact of not having a choice is terrible. You feel like your opinion doesn't matter. You're not the master of your own fate, that you're powerless. And hate also kills hope. This country will remain the same people will govern us. It's a sentence we always hear. It's a sentence that is said with a lot of hate towards the establishment, but also with a lot of defeat. And there is no bigger obstacle to change than the fact of feeling hopeless. So seeing that hate was standing in the way of change, we decided to create a space where change can nurture and grow. And as naive as it may sound, we decided to create a space of love. Beirut Madinati is Beirut Madinati is a municipal campaign for Beirut municipal elections. But Beirut Madinati is not like any other political campaign that we're used to see in Lebanon. First, we created our identity, our logo, the letter B in Arabic for Beirut in the shape of a heart, our love for the city. The name Madinati, my city, reappropriating the city, bringing it back to the people. The people, the core of our campaign. Not only did we go and meet our voters whenever we could, but we also opened our headquarters, organizing weekly open houses where they could come, talk about their problems, and offering also solutions that we could all come up with. Because love is inclusivity, and inclusivity is partnership, and partnership is solidarity. Politicians have tried to kill public spaces. We regained them. Beirut Madinati volunteers reappropriated public spaces and organized public talks, giving the people their voice back and their space back. And love is also respect. We did a program for the first time in Beirut, a complete program where the voters could judge us on and decide whether they want to vote for us or not. We didn't sell dreams, but realities. We made them believe that yes, it is possible to change. Throughout our campaign, we opted for a positive tone. We never said, I'm against him or her. We didn't have any enemies. What we said rather is, I am for this project. I am for the eradication of corruption. I am for this plan. I am for change. I am for new people to govern. When we started our campaign, we started in September and launched publicly in March. During this period, before we launched publicly, we started as a grassroots movement, meeting people face to face whenever we could. And this human connection is the basis of any love relationship. And before we launched publicly, we had more than 2,000 passionate volunteers. And here, let me tell you about passion. A lot of these volunteers were university students, and elections period was during finals period. And you could see them doing overnights in our headquarters, opening an Excel sheet on one side, counting the votes, and opening their school books on the other, and studying for their finals. Luckily, they passed. The last mile was to convince the disenchanted. How did we do it? We told them the truth, because love is also honesty. We told them that there is no other way, and we tried other ways. There is no other way to change than by casting your vote. That what you will do will matter. That you are the master of your own fate. We just reminded them of this simple truth. And love is also assistance. So what we did is we helped whenever we could. And we did a video on how to vote, because many of our voters were first-time voters. The best part was, we forced the other list to shift from their traditional hate speech and their civil war lingo. They had a program 3 days before election. You can call it a program, it's more of an A4. They had a program, and they started talking about garbage and solutions. Today we know it's mostly empty talks. On elections day, people were hugging us in the street, inviting us into their own home, offering us coffee and lunch, telling us stories about their children who left Lebanon, to whom we gave hope of coming back. People we never met were talking in the names of Beirut Madinati. Everyone was Beirut Madinati. It was the start of a real grassroots civil movement in Lebanon. After 2 overnights of counting votes, which tells you a lot about the electoral process in Lebanon, after 2 overnights of counting votes, we got 40% of the votes, against a coalition of 7 traditional parties. We got 40% of the votes against a coalition of 7 traditional parties who are in government. We lost elections. But hopefully we opened the door for change, a door that can hardly be closed again. Elections are over, but Beirut Madinati has just started. Activities that join people together are continuing. We are working on improving the electoral process, on reaching out to neighborhoods, on being a constructive watchdog to the municipalities. We are still regaining public spaces and fighting for public good. Whenever there's a hate speech or a project being planned for, we will be there to destroy it and construct a love space instead. Love doesn't mean being blind or not seeing the nightmare we are living in. Love is not being naive. Love creates hope, and hope gives power, and power will lead to change. Thank you.